Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Spacemarine chapters as we get into the Scythes of the Emperor. If you're new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K content every single day, so hit subscribe and hit the little bell notification icon right next to subscribe. If you have any suggestions for topics that you guys would like us to create a video about, comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Scythes of the Emperor. The Scythes of the Emperor is a Codex Astartes compliant loyalist chapter of Space Marines that is a successor chapter of the Ultramarines of the Third Founding. The origins of the Scythes of the Emperor, sometimes referred to as the Emperor Scythes, hails back to the dark days of the Horus Heresy in the early years of the 31st millennium. The Scythes of the Emperor primarily wear yellow power armor. This includes the power pack and torso. The helmet, pauldrons, greaves, gauntlets, and legs are black. The Scythes of the Emperor's chapter badge is a pair of crossed yellow scythes on a field of black, or a single black scythe in a field of yellow. They were originally part of the Ultramarine Legion's 199th Company, which was assigned by the Primarch Rubut Guilliman to the world of Sotha as a permanent protection. The assigned Astartes took pride in their duty and later adopted the crossed scythe symbol upon their cauldron, related to those they protected, the scythe-wielding agriculturalists. A ritual of clearing the area about the research site on Mount Pharos for over a standard century was the precept for the use of the scythe symbol. The simple, rural traditions dating back over 100 years gave rise to the Protection Company's choice of icon. This world was given the classification of restricted due to the fact that Sotha possessed a strange pre-industrial biotechnological device known as a Pharos, which was located within the massive geographical landmark of Mount Pharos, from which it took its name. This strange alien device was built by an unknown Xeno civilization that harnessed the psychic energy of empathy to aid navigation through the warp, much like the Astronomicon, but on a much smaller scale. It was utilized by Rubut Guilliman as a psychic beacon to attract loyalist forces of the region that had been scattered by the ruinous storms to the Ultramarines' homeworld of Macragge. Cut off from all travel or communication with the throne worlds of Terra by the Great Warp Storm conjured by the Word-Bearer's Traitor Legion during the Battle of Calth, Guilliman had created his own rump interstellar empire, the Imperium Secundus, to rally the loyalist forces against the traitors and maintain the ideals of the Emperor of Mankind. The Pharaohs would later become a source of contingent between the loyalists and traitors when members of the Night Lord's Traitor Legion Splinter Fleet, under the command of Captain Krushash, the Pale, sought to claim it from the forces of the Imperium Secundus during the Battle of Sotha. During this conflict, the loyalist Iron Warrior Warsmith, Barbarus Dantico, sacrificed his own life to overload the Pharaohs, disabling the Night Lord's fleet above Sotha and allowing the loyalist forces to prevail. After the Horus Heresy ended, and the subsequent Second Founding occurred in the year 21 of the 31st millennium, the Space Marine legions were sundered in smaller separate formations, known as chapters, in accordance with Guilliman's Codex Astartes. Oberdai was later promoted to captain of this company, which was maintained as a phantom 11th Company of the Ultramarines on Sotha, even as Guilliman forced every other chapter to conform to the Codex motto of 10. Quite aside from the secret shame of the Imperium Secundus, the existence of this company could have been seen as proof of the Primarch's willful and deliberate flouting of imperial decree, a decree that he and his surviving loyalist brothers agreed upon only after much conflict. Oberdai was a living, breathing reminder of what the Ultramarines considered in their vanity to be Lord Guilliman's mistake. They could not erase them from the pages of history, while Oberdai remained on Sotha, oath to the final duty that he had been given by the Primarch. As Warden of the Pharaohs, Oberdai swore an oath of moment, known as the Agedine Oath, on Guilliman's blade Gladius Incandor to protect Sotha's secrets, which had been buried in the Pharaohs. This oath of moment, written in the Primarch's own hand, was kept with Mount Pharos, along with the skull-like iron mask of the fallen Barbarus Dantico, the first warden of the Pharaohs. By the time the Imperial Fist Primarch, Rogodorn, initiated the Third Founding, Oberdai was the last surviving member of the company. He was not simply the remainder of a mistake. He was the embodiment of it, and the last scrap of living proof. The time had come for the company itself to be purged, in order to remove any evidence of previous heresies on the part of Guilliman, as well as his complicity in defying the Codex Astartes. Ultramarine Chapter Tigris Deacon sent a representative, Chaplain Scythes, to Sotha to offer Obadiah a choice of reassignment to the chapter's 5th company, or to continue his watch over Pharaohs by becoming the first chapter master of a new chapter. Obadiah was initially appalled by the fact that Rogaldorn would initiate yet another founding, but reluctantly consented to becoming the chapter master of a new chapter, and instead chose to name his chapter the Scythes of the Emperor. To fill the new chapter, Chaplain Scythes and Brother Wenlock, along with 72 Ultramarine veterans of the Orlan Conquest, were assigned to join Obadiah on Sotha. The newborn Scythes quickly established a fortress monastery upon their chapter homeworld of Sotha. From this base of operation, near the region of space known as the Damocles Gulf in the Segmentum Ultima, the chapter took upon itself the duty of policing and safeguarding many of the nearby mining and manufacturi settlements. One of the Scythes' later chapter masters, Thorsira, proved an excellent strategic leader. He led the Scythes for several standard centuries until his death during the desperate flight of his chapter from the jaws of High Fleet Kraken on his homeworld of Sotha in the later years of the 41st millennium. As the chapter grew in strength, they expanded their policing actions around their homeworld of Sotha in the eastern fringe of the galaxy, after eradicating human and alien pirates from the nearby Imperial mining colonies. The Scythes moved on to counter several orc migrations in the lower segmentum of the Imperium. The Scythes served during the Damocles Gulf Crusade and played a vital role in capturing of the world of Sai Likel from the Tau Empire. However, the crusade ultimately stalled and withdrew when it was learned that the newly encountered Tyranids were heading for the realm of Ultramar, the home of the Ultramarines. In recent history, the Scythes of the Emperor, along with their allies, the Lamenter's chapter, were virtually destroyed during the invasion of the Imperium of Man by the Tyranid High Fleet Kraken. The remnants of the chapter stood on the edge of oblivion. The few battle brothers that remained swore to spend their lives seeking out and annihilating the remaining Tyranid splinter forces within the Ultima Segmentum and beyond, even as they sought new recruits to replenish the chapter's shattered ranks. During the recent events of Abaddon's the Despoiler's 13th Black Crusade, the long-standing fortress world of Cadia was destroyed. With Cadia's fall and the loss of the network of Necron-built Cadian pylons had long prevented the Eye of Terror from naturally expanding into the Materium. The Warp Rift began to expand exponentially across the width of the known galaxy. This tear in reality, known as the Great Rift, effectively rent the Imperium in half. The beleaguered forces of the Imperium increasingly found themselves overwhelmed as the power of chaos and the Xenos hordes grew unstoppable. Whole sectors of the Imperium lost contact with Terra, while others reported the onslaught of rapid greenskin hordes, aggressive Tau fleets, or undying Necron hosts, seemingly driven to conquest in the face of the expanding Warpstorm fronts. Heretic chaos cults and rogue psychers rose up in the billions, and every Imperial world now seems to be set to burn in the fires of unending war. But all was not lost, for upon the Ultramarines' homeworld of Macragge, during the Ultramar campaign, the genius of Archmagos Dominus Belisarius' call, combined with the powers of Ened, the Eldar god of the dead, to resurrect the Primarch Rubud Guilliman from his millennia-long, deathless slumber. Guilliman had anticipated the need for a new breed of hero for this, the darkest age in the Imperium's history. He knew that the galaxy would need warriors resilient enough to stand against the forces of chaos, as the Imperium found itself poised on the brink of annihilation. To that end, for 10,000 standard years, Archmagos' call had been working upon improving the Adeptus Astartes themselves. The result were the Primaris Spacemarines of the Ultima founding, a more powerful core of transhuman warriors, more potent than even the original Astartes. New armies were raised in breathtaking numbers, and the terrible weapons were deployed whose fury even the worshippers of the Dark Gods would be unable to withstand. gathering a great new armada composed of elements of the Adeptus Custodes, the Silent Sisterhood, and the vast war host of Primaris Spacemarines from many new founding chapters. The Lord Commander of the Imperium launched his Indomitus Crusade. Guilliman decreed that those chapters who had suffered the worst at the hands of the Maraud enemies that assailed mankind were to be amongst the first chapters of the Adeptus Astartes to receive the newly created Primaris Spacemarines of the Ultima founding as reinforcements. With their ranks fully replenished by the new Primaris Astartes, the Scythes of the Emperor are now able to once more take the fight to the archenemy and various threats that currently assail the Imperium of Man. And those were 40 facts on the Scythes of the Emperor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The color scheme to these guys is just absolutely awesome. I'm probably going to borrow this for some of my units in my Imperial Fist army. I love the black and yellow. It really makes it pop. If you guys want to learn more about the Scythes of the Emperor, check out the wiki page. Link is going to be down in the description. You can check that out there. We probably will do more videos on them, but later on. If you have any Space Marine chapter that you really want us to create a video about, comment down below. Also, if you have any suggestions for any other topics, just comment down below. Don't forget, you could support us on Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it really helps out the channel. With that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.